Wow, you're welcome to the Rhemabotics math class, and today we are going to look at trigonometry. Yeah, so that's what we are looking at today. So trigonometry is an aspect of mathematics that deals with the relationship between angles and sides of a right angle triangle. Yeah, angles and sides of a right angle triangle. So it deals with the relationship. So whenever you want to find an unknown angle, or an unknown side of a right angle triangle, you're going to use what we call trigonometrical ratios. So what are the trigonometrical ratios that we have? Trigonometrical ratios. So we have what we call, number one, we have what we call the sine. Number two, we have what we call the cosine. And number three, we have what we call the tangent. So these are the trigonometrical ratios that we have, and these ratios, they help you to find either an unknown side or an unknown angle of a right angled triangle. Now we are going to go straight up to the principle binding this topic, which is SOHCAHTOA. Now this is an acronym used to remember the principle binding trigonometrical ratios. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA is something that you need to remember. As I said, is the initials of the principle. Yeah, for every trigonometrical ratio. So for sine, like the first one is sine. Yeah, so sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So you can see your SOH. S is sine, O is opposite, and H is hypotenuse. Now I'm going to draw a right angle triangle and show you the sides, the different sides, the names of the different sides of a right angled triangle. So I will tell you the side of the right angle triangle that we call the opposite side. I will also tell you the side of the right angle triangle that we call the adjacent side. I will also tell you the side of the right angle triangle that we call the hypotenuse side. So I'm going to do that, but before I get to that particular point, let's finish up with the principle. So I'm going to take this backward a bit so that we are going to do that of the C. We have done S, which is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So let's do C. Now for C is cos. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, adjacent over hypotenuse, right? Now I'll take it back again. Make sure you rewind and replay, so they can follow up with what we are doing. The last one is T, which is tan. Yeah, T is tan. So tan is opposite over adjacent. So let's go straight up to the right angle triangle and let's try to define what every side represents, or what the name of every side is. Let's define a right angle triangle. Okay, so here is the angle in focus, which we call theta, and this is a right angle triangle because one of its angle is 90 degrees. So the longest side of the right angle triangle is what we call the hypotenuse. Okay, the hypotenuse. So we use HYP to represent it. Okay, so let me just put it in bracket, HYP. So that's what we use to represent it. And we have, the base, where the angle is seated, the base of the triangle, we call it the adjacent side. It is always perpendicular to the opposite side. So this is what we call the adjacent side, and we use ADJ to represent it. Okay, we use ADJ to represent it, and finally we have what we call the opposite side. Yeah, and this is opposite to the angle in focus. We use OPP to represent it. Okay, so if you go back to the video, you will now understand where the HYP is coming from, where the OPP is coming from, and where the ADJ is coming from. So this is the basics you need to know when it comes to trigonometrical ratios. Okay, so we are going to do a simple example, just a very simple example, just to apply the different trigonometrical ratios that I've mentioned. For example, let's say we have A here, we have C here, and we have B here. Okay, so let's apply some of the trigonometrical ratios I've mentioned in the SOHCAHTOA. So the first one we said is what? Sine. So sine theta, don't forget, is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm going to take it backwards so that I can put in the values. So what is our opposite side? Our opposite side is A, while our hypotenuse side, which is the longest side, is C. Okay, so let's do cos theta now. Yes, cos the angle in focus. So cos theta is, don't forget, is adjacent. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. In that SOHCAHTOA that I explained, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's put in the values. So our adjacent is B, while our hypotenuse is C. So B over C. Okay, so finally let's do tan theta. So tan theta in the SOHCAHTOA is opposite over adjacent. That's 12. Opposite over adjacent. Okay, opposite over adjacent. Okay, so what's our opposite side? Our opposite side is A, while our adjacent side is B. Okay, so thank you so much for being part of today's episode on the Rhemabotics Math channel. So see you on the next as we continue in this series, which is the trigonometrical ratios or trigonometry in general. So this is just a part 1 of it. So see you in the part 2 of it. Thank you so much.